Hello, my name is Chivas Mays, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. Let's Talk About It is a podcast where we talk about real issues that people face on a regular basis. So, we are going to be addressing the power and control wheel as our fourth episode. Last week, we talked about the cycle of violence. So today we're going to get into what's tied into the cycle of violence and the tactics that's used by abusers. Now, before we jump in, I just want to let you know there may be a trigger or two. So just know it is okay for you to take care of yourself. Also know that whatever happened in your life pertaining to DV, it was not your fault. Okay, so today we're going to just go ahead and jump right in. As I always promise you, we will be done with this podcast in 30 minutes or less. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about with power and control, imagine having a pie in front of you. In the middle is power and control. And there's 7 slices to the pie, which are the tactics that's used in domestic violence. Okay. If you can identify with one or two of these things, this confirms that you are in or have been in an abusive relationship. So the first one that we're going to talk about is using coercions and threats. So this is where the abuser is making threats or carrying out threats to do something to hurt the victim. They're threatening to leave, to commit suicide, or to report the person to child welfare, and making them drop the charges. Also making them do illegal things. So when I say threatening to commit suicide, that's that language where, if you leave me, I can't live without you, I'm going to kill myself. Which a lot of times it puts the victim in an uncomfortable position because the perpetrator is using that type of language, and something like that really does happen. Of course, it will eat them up with guilt. Okay. Also, threatening to report to child welfare. No one wants to feel like, they're at risk of losing their children. So that's another tactic that's used to where, like, maybe some things transpired in their past or in your past that you're not proud of, and the abuser wants to hold that against you. Now, let's also be clear that this is not a women's issue. This is not women's issues. This is a people issue. Domestic violence, power and control can happen to heterosexual relationships, same-sex relationships, any type of intimate relationship. Okay, so we're not making this about women. Let's be clear. All right. So the next one tactic that's used is using intimidation. This is where they're making the victim feel afraid by using looks, action, gestures, smashing things, destroying property, abusing pets, or displaying weapons. This is just something that's used as a way to intimidate. And like I said last week, to make the victim feel inferior. Okay? The next one is using emotional abuse. This is where the perpetrator puts the victim down, makes them feel bad about themselves, calling them names, making them think they're crazy. We used to call it crazy making back in the day. Today, it's called gaslighting. Playing mind games and humiliating the person and making them feel guilty once again. Then the next one that comes into play under power and control is using isolation. This is where they're controlling what the victim does, who they see, who they talk to, what they read, where they go, limiting their outside involvement, using jealousy as a justification. Like, one of the things I can remember hearing is, why are you hanging around such and such and such? She's not, she's not in a relationship. She was this and she was that, and now you're in a relationship. And if you're trying to hang around that person, that means that you're still that person, which is just another way to keep you away from your connections. And a lot of times that works. If I can isolate you from your friends, your family, your resources, your community, I can control you. And this is also a good way for the perpetrator to drive a wedge between you and your family and your connections, because if they know this person is not good for you, the first thing they're going to say is, you know what, if you don't leave that person, you're not going to see your grandkids anymore, or you're not, we can't be friends anymore, or I don't want anything to do with you. Do you think that upsets the abuser? Absolutely not. That's exactly what they want, because it gives them more power and control over you, to where if anything does happen, no one's going to listen to you anyway, because they know you're not going to leave that person. And so until you leave that person, they don't want anything to do with you. Okay? So that is pretty much your using isolation. And then the next one is a real one that really stood out for me, which was minimizing, denying, and blaming. This is where the abuser is making light of the abuse and not taking the victim's concerns serious at all. Saying things like, oh, that didn't happen. Oh, it's just a little bruise. Oh, well, you hit me too. Oh, well, look what you did to me. Pretty much shifting the blame onto the victim, and not acknowledging what they did, and saying that, if it happened, you were the cause of it, and stop being a drama queen or a king. It's because it's really not that serious, but it is that serious. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, if it makes you feel violated, it is that serious. Okay? Starting to get passionate. All right. The next one that's really common is using children. This is where they make you feel guilty about the children, not seeing the children. Say there's a court order in place, and you have pretty much more of the custody than them. They want to make you feel guilty about that. You're keeping little Billy away from his dad, and little Sarah loves her dad, and you're just keeping her away from them, and you're breaking up the family. And a lot of times they'll even use their visitation as a way of using the children. Instead of them using their visitation to visit with the kids, they're using the visitation to talk about what you're doing while they're not there. What is mommy doing? Who's coming to see you? What did daddy say? And things of that nature. And using harassing messages. And they may even try to turn the children against you, because children are innocent. They're very vulnerable, and they don't, regardless of whether whoever is the abuser, they love their parent. But a lot of times abusers will use that as a way to even gain control over the children, which they know if they have that control over the children, they can use that, as well as it makes it really complicated for the parent to parent. So there's that one. And then this one is pertaining to male abusers. It's called using male privilege. This is where women are treated like servants, second class. They make all the big decisions. They act like the master or the king of the castle. They're being the one to define men's roles and the women's roles. For example, the woman, you are to be in the house, be barefooted and pregnant. You don't need to go to work. What do you need to go to work for? You got to raise these children. It's your job to cook and clean and to be on your back when I need you to be. And my role is to go to work. I pay all the bills. I wear the pants in this relationship. And you don't have a voice. The woman is to be submissive to her husband. That's that male dominant privilege. Then let's get into using economic abuse. Okay. This is where the victim is prevented from getting or keeping a job. Okay. Or they may be the only one that does work. They have to go to work and pay all the bills while the perpetrator sits home and watches the kids and probably are being mean to the kids while they're watching the kids. This is also where they're calling the job all the time. They're making you late for work. They're making you miss days at work. Your attendance is out of control. You're given an allowance if the abuser does work. You don't know what's in the bank account. You don't know what the check stub says. It's just that Billy takes care of everything, or Nancy takes care of everything, and all you get, here's you $20 to go to the grocery store, buy diapers, everything you need. And that's it. Because if you have your own money and your own self-sufficiency, you are in a position to be able to leave. This is where I like to tell individuals in these types of relationships, anytime you get some money, put it up. I don't care if it's $5, $10, put it up. Have someone in your network that you trust to where you can give money to and say, I need you to hold this for me. Because you just never know. And if they know you have money, they're going to take your money. So they'll take your money. They're not letting you know anything about the family income. And this is to keep you under their power and control. We can also talk about something that's not really talked about in the relationship is power control in sex. Okay? You're not allowed to say no. Your body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the abuser. So whether you agree to it or whether you don't agree, you're treated as if you're like a bathroom stop. Well, but that is my partner. It doesn't matter. No means no. Point blank, period. No means no. You cannot give consent when you're sick, when you're asleep, when you just don't even feel like it. No means no. And if you didn't say yes, then it means no. And that's where you have been great, okay? Well, if I don't do it, then he'll go get it somewhere else. Or they'll go get it somewhere else. Sorry for that. And that may very well be true. But again, that's a part of power and control and manipulation tactics, okay? Another thing that happens in that department is you're all of a sudden coming up with these STIs. And guess who's blamed for it? The victim. Another power and control manipulative tactic. Oh, well, you didn't get it from me, so you must have been cheating. Another manipulative tactic. Or getting you pregnant, or not allowing you to take your birth control pills. Or say you might be someone who struggles with substance abuse, sabotaging your recovery. If I can keep you high, I can control you. If I do things to make sure you don't stay clean and sober, I can control you. So these are all tactics that's used in DV relationships called power and control. And again, okay, so I've identified with maybe one or two of those things. What do I do? Again, like I said last week, it starts with not denying what you're going through. It's not your fault. And know that help is available. And the only way to break the cycle of violence and power and control is to know that help is available by calling 1-800-799-SAFE. Help is available. And even though it may be hard, you might have to go live in a shelter. You might have to, switch to a new location, a new job or whatever. You have to do what you have to do in order to get your life back. Okay? Domestic violence does not happen without power and control. Okay? So you can't deny, well, that's not DV. It is DV. It is DV. And if you want to break the cycle and you want to break your generational trauma, you have to do something about it. We have to do something about it. We cannot expect the abuser to get some type of epiphany and change who they are. No. What they're going to do is continue being who they are. And then once they no longer have the power and control over you, guess what they're going to do? They're going to take their show on the road and they're going to go find someone else to victimize. And God in heaven knows we don't want no one to go through that. But if that's what you have to do in order to get out, don't ever think, oh, well, they'll get with someone else and treat them better. No, they won't. They will not treat them better because this is who that person is. They have traumas that they need to work through, and there's some accountability that needs to take place in order for that behavior to change. Okay? So I think we're going to wrap this episode up. Just know that we will continue to have these topics. The next topic that we're going to have is the 21 warning signs of an abusive relationship. So the 21 warning signs, the red flags, if you will, that's going to be our next topic. And like I always say, I am not here to come from some type of educational background. I'm coming from lived experience. Okay? I have experienced domestic violence as well as all of the tactics that's tied into power and control. Okay? So just know, if I can overcome it, you can. But I had to first realize that I'm not responsible for my trauma, but I'm responsible for my healing. And with that being said, we're going to wrap this episode up, and we will see you the next time on Let's Talk About It. Don't forget, comment, share, and subscribe. I know you know somebody that could use this information. You share this video with them. Okay? And until next week, we'll see you, and you have a blessed day. Bye.
Hi, Chavez. My name is Ruthie Bolton. I'm sorry you missed it, but we were thinking about you, and I've heard a lot of great things about you. I can't wait to meet you. And stay strong. Keep flexing your muscles to better you, because you know what? The sky's the limit for you. And no matter what has happened in your life, I want you to straighten your crown, because you're beautiful, you're awesome, and you're great. Love you.